Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name's Citizen Strife, and I'm recording this right off the tail end of the Golden Boy episode that I just did, because I know these are going to be shorter scale episodes compared to what I normally do. And this one is about the Spice and Wolf remake, The Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf. And the reason I'm doing this in a shorter scale is that a lot of the things present in the remake are things that occurred in the original anime. So I'm retreading old ground, but I'm going to kind of talk about the differences that I've seen in this version and kind of the subtle changes to the narrative and the where they go with the story. There's only about like 3 or 4 differences that I could pick out. So if you have or haven't seen the original, this isn't like replacing it. And in fact, you might actually prefer the original depending on your style. The biggest thing for me, I think, is the visual storytelling, the visual style. It is still a very slow show. It is like, as far as like characters, settings, style, presentation, like even down to the actors, almost in all cases, the actors are the same. So anyone they could have brought back, and this is true for the dub version that I watched, like the characters are the same, the voice actors are the same, the stuff they do is the same, and realistically, a lot of it is point by point remake. What they do, though, is subtle changes to some parts of it, which were either part of the manga or they were changed for the anime, one of the two, or they changed a story near the end here. Because this one got 24 episodes all at once. They didn't even like cut it into 12. They went full on 24. And that allowed it to get to the same amount that the original show did, while still allowing it more time to breathe later on. They announced a second season, so they are intent on finishing it at some point. The framing device here is that these are stories told by Holo to a mysterious girl, which you can kind of infer is Holo and Lawrence's daughter, because I'm pretty sure they've done or had done volumes of, I believe it's called Wolf and Parchment, where their daughter is the main character of it. So realistically, we know what's going to happen in this story. You can infer kind of what the goal is here. We haven't seen what their daughter looks like unless you've, read the volumes or whatever, or watched it, or seen clips. They keep it hidden, but you probably know early on like what the goal is of this, and that's why this didn't feel like the last one. And the last one, it felt like they never finished it because it was still an ongoing thing and they never did get to the ending of it. This is framed as a complete work, so that when they get to the second season eventually, they're probably going to finish this and have it done. So as that framing device, most of the story is the same. Holo and Lawrence meet in the same way. The biggest difference in the opening is that the character of Chloe, who I actually liked a lot more than the guy they have for this, Yare, I believe is his name, because of that like pseudo romantic tension and mentorship thing that Lawrence and Chloe had. Not exactly present with Yare. He's just a dude who's in the town who's like the mentee to Lawrence. He pulls the same shit though. So their schemes are the same, but there is that, like, whenever there's kind of a romantic element to things, there's always that little tinge of, ooh, this is a little more spicy than just, oh, I don't like you, or I'm better than you. There's a little bit more to that. So I would think that, like, there's nothing wrong with Yare as a person. It's just Chloe's just a better fit for that. Even if they don't go far enough in either version for it, because they're meant to be just stopgaps. that part of the story to establish Lawrence and Holo. Other parts of the story, like how Nora gets involved with the gold, that's the same. Pyrite with Amarty is the same. What really the difference in this version is the final arc of the show. In the original version, he met Eve, and they did this like exchange and partnership / one-upsmanship in this town, and it kind of goes awry and they get violent. This one, they go to a pagan village and they're trying to learn. What they're leaning more into with this version, I think, is Holo's roots and trying to figure out where she's going. So it isn't much, but they're trying to kind of add in the more paganistic feel to it, like going to the north, exploring to the north, doing that stuff. They're not focusing as much on the you're going to a town, here's the exchange and do the thing. They actually do build in what the effects of these pagan gods do to a certain extent. Oh, excuse me, I just had some food. And it comes to a head in the final thing of this season where they go to a village that it has this like poison wheat, and these people in a separate village are going to take it over, but like the church and the abbot, the abbey have kind of held this town together. Lawrence and Holo come in and they try to figure out ways of, okay, they want to take this place over and they want to get rid of this couple, Elsa and Evan, who are kind of holding serve against everybody else because, they're trying to just hold everything together despite this, like, I want to call it like Bug's Life kind of scenario where it's like, we screwed you over and now we're coming to collect our shit and we are going to fucking murder you if you don't. That sort of threat from the other town. But Lawrence and Holo are able to help them in that. And that's how they end the season. A lot of, again, the story and the pacing is the same. I don't know if I would prefer that. I do like what they did in the original, though. I think there's something about the style, because in that late 2000s era, everything was kind of sharp looking, kind of like Black Butler is versus how Black Butler is, like, was versus is now. Like, a lot of the designs, and that's really the biggest thing, is the design choice is a lot lighter, and I'm not sure if that has to do with the manga design being a lot more like, just, I'm not going to say colorless, but you'd have to like look at screenshots and see it in action to really express it. Like, a lot of the hair, a lot of the faces seem a lot, not washed out, but pale. Like Holo's hair in the original was like dark, auburn brown, right? It was very stiff. Her eyes were very striking, this very blood red-ish. It would like pop off the screen, but it did also feel kind of its time, a very stiff feel to it. This has a more like lighter, fancier feel. It is distinctive. So it's a distinctive look to everyone's facial features, to their hair, to the environments. I'm not going to say it's animated any differently because the pacing, doesn't really allow it. There's not really an action thing. They're not forcing a lot of action. This is still the drama about the economics and the wolves and the stuff. There is some action sequences, but they're like, I don't know, 15 to 20% of the show. There is hardly anything there. So it's not trying to be this like pulse pounding adventure. It's not trying to just win you over with animation. It's winning you over with characters and drama and story and the visual style. It's up to the eyes of the beholder. I tend to prefer everything just looking, it still to this day, the 2008-2009 looks beautiful. It's just, it's its own like stiff, everything's like pops off the screen color vibe to it. This is trying to go probably more in line with the manga, and if that's what your preference is, you might enjoy this version more. But realistically, either version you take, you're not like missing much. Really, what you get from the first season is the ending. So both seasons end in different things. I would say the Eve version in the 2008, 2009, like that story, they might even bring it up in the second season. So there's no guarantee that that isn't there. The thing is that a lot of like the first 20 episodes are the same, though. That's the thing. So if you've already seen the original, you're not really getting any new story out of it other than the framing device of knowing, oh, we know how this is going to end. So do we still enjoy the journey? And I would say we do. I definitely do, because these characters have been with me for 15 years at this point. I really love the original, and I still love that they kept to this. It isn't like a Hellsing Ultimate situation, where Hellsing Ultimate way more action oriented and Hellsing OVA is a lot more dramatic. This is the same show done in a different way, maybe with a different arc at the end of it. So you're not really gonna lose anything. It's kind of the same way Persona 3 and Persona 3 Reload kind of feel. They're not doing anything differently. So you're kind of falling back into a familiar territory. And that's kind of something nice about not trying to just redo everything just for the sake of it. So either version you take, you're gonna get something out of it. And besides, I think both versions have great opening themes for their first seasons. Tabi no Tochu is in the original. Tabi no Yukue is in this version. And they're different kinds of songs, and they're both really, really, really good songs. So I think you're gonna enjoy those opening themes really well. And I still enjoy Spice and Wolf, and I'm glad they brought it back, and I'm going to be super happy when they bring out another season, because I do want to see how this ends. It's one of those things where a lot of shows don't get second chances to finish if they didn't finish at all. So bringing something back and actually committing to doing it is great, because it adds that closure to things. So this is the first step of that, and I'm really glad I did it. But that'll do for this episode. I mean, obviously, I would recommend watching this. I'm not saying no. That would be stupid. But anyway, what do we got here? Was it doing these episodes? Because I did Golden Boy and Spice and Wolf back to back. So, other than the anime discussions every couple of weeks, let's see what episodes we have up in the docket here. We got Persona 5 Strikers, Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines, and Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. So I'm getting closer to the Mega Man thing. I'm probably just going to focus on Mega Man, like OG Mega Man and Mega Man X, and then splice back in the anime reviews as is. Still not sure on that one. Might do something else for May, but I'll figure that out as I go. But that does it for this episode, and I'll see you next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.